Hello, welcome to the Daily Forex Report for July 15th. We're looking at the US-Japanese yen pair. This pair broke through previous areas of support before pulling back and closing a little bit higher. Still closed down for the day on Friday, but nonetheless did close above that area of support. We are looking for this pair overall to be moving sideways. Look for it to potentially go as high as 79.70, possibly as low as 78.71. Look for some resistance around 79.50 and look for some support around 79.00. Now the Euro USD pair. This pair closed up on Friday, did break through the previous session's low as well as the high. It did gap up at the open, indicating that it should retrace. It's pretty much done that. Gapped up 26 pips from Friday's close to Sunday's open. We are looking for it to potentially go as high as 123.49, possibly as low as 120.97. Look for some resistance around 123.10 and look for some support around 121.61. Now the pound US dollar pair, this pair surged to the upside on Friday, closed higher. We are looking for it to move to the downside over this next session. However, it could possibly go as high as 157.14, possibly as low as 153.54. Look for some resistance around 156.25 and look for some support around 154.75. Now the US Swiss, this pair closed lower on Friday, did gap down at the open. It's retraced those 22 pips that it gapped. We are looking for it to potentially go as high as 0.9919, possibly as low as 0.9726. Look for some resistance around 0.9875 and look for some support around 0.9750. Now, as far as news analysis go, we do have a couple of news analysis for tomorrow. The Eurozone is releasing their consumer price index for June at 5 a.m. Eastern. Consensus on that one is that it has held at 1.6%. Then a little bit later at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, we have the advanced retail sales for the U.S. being released. They're showing an increase from a negative 0.2% up to a 0.2 positive, basically. Then a little bit later in the day, we have the consumer price index for the second quarter from New Zealand. That's being released at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. Consensus on that one's that it's dropped from 1.6% down to 1.1%. Then even later in the day, at about 9:30, we have the Reserve Bank Board for Australia releasing the July minutes. Now, won't have any effect really on the market as the numbers have already been released, but nonetheless, that is when it's coming out. Now, what am I looking for during this next session? Well, if we take a look at the Euro USD, zoom out a little bit, we can see overall that we had a strong move to the downside, then a period where the market moved sideways, had somewhat of a head and shoulders formation develop. That was broken, and it has moved lower. It did close higher on Friday, but nonetheless, the week was dropped. For the second week in a row, we've had a down week. And we had a gap up. It's very similar to what we had 2 weeks ago. Let me zoom in a little bit. In this particular case, we had a gap up, and you can see that it did retrace and then proceeded to move to the downside all the rest of the week. Last week, we had a gap down, moved up, and then reversed, closed lower. We are looking for this one, since it's gapped up, has retraced, looking for it to head to the downside. So that is what I'm looking for during this next session. As far as the high goes, I have a high currently of 121.71. I don't think it'll get above 122.75. So I'm looking for it to move lower, definitely down to this point at roughly, let's actually take a look at what that would be. I don't think we're going to get too much more above that point. I do believe we'll drop down right to the 122.02 mark and then find some areas of support at that level. If you took out the low right now, you're looking at about a 30 pip move. Could go much lower than that, but I do believe that we'll get there over the next couple of hours. If we take a look at the chart here, you can see on the hour time frame, it has already started its move to the downside. I do believe we'll see that continue down to this point. We may see a little bit of support coming into the market around the 0-0 level, the 122.00, so keep an eye on that. Well, I hope that helps, and until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.